For the first time, the US military has launched back-to-back strikes in the Pacific, escalating what the White House calls its campaign against narcotics terror networks. In just 24 hours, 2 separate vessels were destroyed off Colombia's coast, killing 5 suspected traffickers linked to Venezuela's Tren de Aragua cartel, now labeled a designated terrorist organization. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth confirmed both operations, calling them lethal kinetic strikes, under direct orders from President Donald Trump. Hours later, Hegseth confirmed a second Pacific strike, killing 3 more narco-terrorists aboard another vessel, describing them as the Al-Qaeda of our hemisphere. He vowed the strikes would continue day after day, calling the campaign a war of elimination against cartels. The announcement marks a dramatic acceleration from 7 strikes across the Caribbean to 2 in the Eastern Pacific in just one day. President Donald Trump, in his Oval Office exchange with NATO Chief Mark Rutte, confirmed the new phase of operations and justified the use of lethal force. Trump's statement, coupled with Hegseth's language, officially transforms the war on drugs into a counter-terror campaign.
Well, they had one today in the Pacific, and the way I look at it every time I look, because it is violent, and it's amazing that the weaponry, everyone, they have these boats that go 45, 50 miles an hour in the water, and when you look at the accuracy and the power, look, we have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest weapons in the world, and you see a little bit of it there. One shot, everyone dead center. And the only way you can't feel bad about it is you realize that you won't feel badly about it, is you realize that every time you see that happen, you're saving 25,000 American lives. Every one of those boats that gets knocked out is saving 25,000 American lives, not to mention the torn up families all over the country.
This is no longer law enforcement, it's warfare. Trump has invoked Article 2 powers to justify the strikes as acts of self-defense, arguing that drug cartels kill more Americans than foreign enemies. Analysts now call this the Trump Doctrine of Preemptive Defense, targeting non-state cartels as combatants in an ongoing armed conflict.
They killed 300,000 people last year, these drugs coming in. They killed 300,000 Americans last year, and that gives you legal authority. We have a national security, really, I will say this, when you look at the people we're dealing with, and we know them, we know the people coming in, we know the boats, we know everything else, we're allowed to do it. It's in international waters. If we don't do it, we're going to lose hundreds of thousands of people.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio publicly defended the president's policy, calling the strikes a defensive war and revealing that the CIA tracks each vessel from the very beginning.
Bottom line, these are drug boats. If people want to stop seeing drug boats blow up, stop sending drugs to the United States.
But does it matter if it's in the United States?
Well, these are all in international waters.
The boat. Do a strike in the United States, or if Northern?
Well, that's a different matter. Now you're talking about a law enforcement matter. In this particular case, there are people traveling on international waters headed towards the United States with hostilities in mind, which includes flooding our country with dangerous, deadly drugs, and they're going to be stopped. And that's what's happening. And in the case last week, you saw there was a submarine. It was a submarine. It was a submersible. That's a drug boat all the way through. We know what these boats are. The president just said it. We track them from the very beginning. We know who's on them, who they are, where they're coming from, what they have on them. If you're running drug boats, you're in grave danger.
The strikes have triggered immediate geopolitical blowback. In Moscow, the Russian State Duma has ratified a strategic partnership treaty with Venezuela, deepening military, diplomatic, and intelligence cooperation. Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov, called the U.S. strikes incendiary and warned that the continent could burn again.
Once this region was called the burning continent. I am inclined to think something might burn there again, but we must make every effort, through our solidarity with allies like the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, to build a reliable barrier to Washington's incendiary schemes and hegemony.
Trump's rhetoric toward Colombia and Venezuela, branding their governments corrupt and terror-linked, has alienated much of Latin America. Meanwhile, Russia's no-sanctions diplomacy is winning hearts in the region. From Caracas to Bogotá, public sentiment is shifting. Putin is seen as a partner, Trump as a threat to sovereignty. Analysts now warn that the burning continent narrative could turn literal if these strikes continue.